Great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the TeamMates Mentoring Hour, coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studio and online at theticketfm.com.
Welcome to it. It's Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. This is the TeamMates Mentoring Hour. I am DP. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. An hour of purpose and mission, hour of service. It's what we define this as. Some of the best of Lincoln's community and Nebraska's community all wrapped up in one place with one direction. Greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to add to the conversation, join the conversation. 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman Texan Honda Lincoln Hotline. And you can follow the live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter Live. See what's going on in studio. We are better looking today. That's how that works. When you get your guy in the space, you bring him in. Let's bring in leadership defined. Good morning, Adams. How are you, brother?
Hey, I appreciate you for having me. You looking good with your Husker gear. I decided to show some love to one of our partners, Bridges Trust. They do great work for Teammates Mentoring. So shout out to Nick and his crew.
Well, I had to represent the other way. I had to get you up top.
Yeah.
I had to get it up top, but that is representing our fine guest tonight. Would you introduce our special guest this evening, kind sir?
Yes, we also have on the call co-founder Tom Osborne, Coach Osborne, Dr. Osborne, Thomas Wilson Osborne. He has so many names now.
Goat. Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for adding for not only what you do, but this hour defined is an opportunity for us to find more mentors in this space for the young people in the communities of Nebraska that need it. Coach, first of all, how are you?
Well, doing fine, and I want to thank you for having us on. Actually, I'm just on the phone because I have a better face for radio, and so I thought this might work out better. Des Moines is more photogenic than I am, but Des Moines been doing a great job with Teammates, and so we're really pleased with the staff we have, and we've had a great bunch of mentors who've stepped up. We still need more.
That is the priority and focus today. Last visit, we had mentors in, and they were talking about that line of young people who are waiting, who are just waiting. And we talked about how the length of some of the wait for these young people. So the challenge in this hour to the folks who are listening is to identify who you are and what you can do for these young people. Like, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are in your life, there's a young person in this community that is waiting exactly for you. And I think that's the message in that. Des Moines, I'll ask you, what is that list, that wait list for the folks, for the young people who waited the longest? How long is that wait?
We can sit here and say 100, 200, 500, but we know that there are at least 500 students here in the Lincoln area that have said, yes, I would love to have a Teammates mentor. But as years go by, that waiting list unfortunately gets smaller because students lose interest and they're more connected to their Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat than to be interested in that face-to-face role model. And so that 1 hour only includes 20 to 30 minutes meeting with a student, with that additional 10 to 15 minutes to get to the school and to get back to your home or place of business. And so it doesn't take a lot. All we ask is for you to simply show up and be there for another young person.
Coach, when this thing is put together, when the idea and the concept is there, did you have any idea that it would have the reach that it currently does? Because you're reaching parts of the state that, quite frankly, require extended purpose. I mean, any idea at all that this would become what it's become?
No, it's like a lot of endeavors that start out with one thought, and the reason we started Teammates was that I started coaching in 1962. Long about 1991, I began to realize that the student body that we were recruiting had changed a lot. Back in the early 60s, most families were stable. There was no drug culture to speak of, maybe a little bit of alcohol, and didn't have social media. And so a lot of things had changed. And so I thought, well, maybe we'd take a shot at seeing if we could do something about it. And I got it from our football team one day, and I said, how many of you guys be willing to serve as a mentor to a 7th or 8th grade boy here in Lincoln? I don't know why I said 7th or 8th grade. That just popped into my head. And 22 hands went up, and so we went to Lincoln Public Schools and asked them if they would have 22 young men who would like to have a football player as a mentor. And they said, well, yeah, we think that'd work out. And we matched them up, and we once a month we get together, have some pizza and play some basketball and have a speaker, and then we just told the players, meet with these young guys once a week, and if you want to bring them to practice, you can, and whatever. Things seemed to be going pretty well, and finally they got to be seniors in high school, and we were very pleasantly surprised because of the 22, 21 graduated on time, and one guy was a year late, so they all graduated. The thing that really amazed us was of the 22, 18 went on to college, and we thought from that group that maybe 3 or 4 or 5 would go. And so because of that, we decided that maybe there was something to this. We expanded first here in Lincoln, began to use adults as mentors, spread across the state, and then into Iowa, and into Kansas, South Dakota, Wyoming. And so we're mentoring about 10,000 kids. But as Des Moines mentioned, we always have about a third more who are waiting for mentors than we have mentors. There's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 kids out there in various mentoring communities who like a mentor. Now I am, by just saying this, I'm mentoring a young man now over at Lincoln East. He's in the 9th grade, and he's signed up and asked for a mentor for 3 years before I finally showed up. And that shows you what the need is. And this guy is really looking forward to having a mentor. And so even though I'm 80 and I'm beat up, he seems to be really happy to see me. And so we have a good match.
Coach, over the course of this whole thing, how many mentees do you think you've actually sat face to face with over the course of the years?
Well, personally, I have mentored now 7 kids, and one of them for 13 years. I've usually had 2 at a time. But in terms of mentoring, TeamMates mentoring, we have mentored over 43,000 young people since 1991. And of course, the numbers have increased exponentially over the last 4 or 5 years.
Des Moines, same question in that space, right? Since you've become a part of this thing, and now as a part of leadership. I mean, that's what leadership is showing the way.
Yeah.
What about you? What are those numbers for you?
So I started as a mentor as a student athlete, as a college football player. I mentored for 3 years. Even though I did not get a chance to finish the relationship, I did find out that he graduated, and he found me, and he's in Arizona. He's doing great. Since I've been with TeamMates, I've helped 4 students graduate from high school. One of them that I'm still his mentor as a TeamMates Plus, because TeamMates doesn't have to stop when a student graduates from high school. If a student is pursuing some form of post-secondary education, that's a great way to help them to get to and through college, because nationally, only about 68% of college students make it to their second year. But over the last 10 years, TeamMates has been able to show that when a college student has a mentor, 91% of our students persist to their second year, higher than the national average.
Des Moines Adams, Dr. Tom Osborne. Coach, what Des Moines just said resonates deep. I mean, that's a huge vibration when you can say that we can take the number and make it greater simply by being present. But I'll ask you, Coach, what is it about Teammates that gets these young people not only through high school, but through that important second year? What thing is added that makes this thing happen?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. Number one, we're strengths oriented, and so with most of our mentees and mentors, we determine what their strengths are, and so often we match strengths accordingly. And it's important for the mentor to know what makes that young person tick. And for instance, if a mentor is kind of an aggressive hard charger, and they're mentoring a young person who's a little bit more reticent, maybe shy, a little bit laid back, that mentor can kind of understand that it's not going to be really good to approach this person with a 3-point plan and say, well, I'm going to fix you, and in 3 weeks you'll be all set.
Right.
You need to listen. You need to care. You need to be there. And so we train our mentors, usually about a 2-hour training session. We train the mentees so they know what to expect. And then we have a building coordinator in every building that has teammates. And so that building coordinator knows the student and gets to know the mentor and make sure that the matches are made based on somewhat similar interests. So if somebody's interested in music, the arts, and somebody else is the mentor is interested only in athletics, it's probably not a good fix. So we make sure that we mentor and we match people with common interests, and so that works well. And this last year we graduated 98% of our seniors from high school, and almost every year it's been at least 95% or more. And the national average is somewhere around 85-86%, and so we feel very good about the academic progress. But we also understand that for the most part, these kids become better people. Just having somebody in their life who cares about them unconditionally really makes a difference.
Des Moines, walk us through that process for potential mentors out there. And as they sit there and listen, and they're leaning in because now they're curious. What gets them most often across the bridge to reaching out to teammates and saying, hey, look, I need to do this?
I would say first, having the confidence. We always say that to be a mentor, you don't have to be a tutor. You don't have to know algebra. You don't have to come in and feel this urge to fix a young person. We're simply just asking you to show up once a week, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe over their lunch break, play a game, listen, talk about life, be that additional caring adult in their life. That's not their mom, not their father, not a teacher. Mentors, again, they come from different backgrounds, different experiences, whether they're 18 years of age or 85, like Coach Osborne. There are no excuses. I mean, for our co-founder to have 2 mentees, if he can find the time, then there really isn't an excuse. So I would say the one thing that trips people over is, will I be a good mentor? We provide the resources. You don't have to be an expert. You simply just have to be there.
Well, it's Dr. Tom Osborne, Des Moines Adams, Teammates Mentoring, and even on a local level, there are areas of need, pockets of need, where there's certain spaces that need to be. Coach, I'll ask for the folks, they get the opportunity to help out where they are. So it is not geographically a problem. Mentors can mentor where they are, correct?
Right. We're, for instance, here in Lincoln, we're in every school building. We start with young people as young as 3rd grade, stay with them through high school, and then as Des Moines mentioned, we do post-secondary mentoring also for those students who go on to community college or trade school or four-year university. And so it may be a school close to your place of business, or maybe close to your home, or whatever is most convenient. And the mentor can choose the grade level. Some people are more comfortable with a third or fourth or fifth grader, and some people feel like they'd like to have a high school mentee, 9th, 10th grade. And then some people are interested in a postgraduate mentor, somebody that's going to college. And so there's a wide variety of experiences that are available, and we try to tailor that to the needs and the wishes of the mentor.
Through the conversations we've had over the course of a year, like a lot of the best things are when a mentor finds their footing, like they get their grown-up mentor legs, right? They're not afraid anymore. What's the biggest misconception about being a mentor? What is the thing that people think, I should be afraid of this because this might not work?
I think there's a misperception that, mentoring is for at-risk kids. It's a thing for kids that, quote unquote, need a mentor. I feel that the culture of mentoring is like a village. And they say that it takes a village to raise a child. So if there are any adults out there that truly care about their community, the Lincoln community, Grand Island, Omaha, etc., one of the ways that you can show that care and demonstrate your leadership is to use your role to be a role model. That's all we're asking. That's all we're trying to do. The culture of mentoring is simply me becoming that village. It takes a village. Teamwork is what makes the dream work. And so mentoring works, and 91% of mentors have reported that they feel when they go back to the workplace and when they go home. So it makes them happy. I mean, not only are students getting something from being a part of TeamMates, our mentors are leaving that relationship feeling more engaged and happy when they go back to home.
Coach Osborne, what of the Lincoln public schools, how many coaches in those buildings? What percentage? Are we shooting 100? Are we batting 100 and getting all of the coaching? Because that seems to be in a building that you're in, the leaders would step up. Coach, any idea whether we're getting the coaches that we should?
Well, I can't tell you. You're talking about specific coaches that are coaching sports.
Yeah.
I think some are. I know some are. And of course, at its best, coaching is mentoring. And some of them feel like, well, I'm with these guys every day for 2 hours, and I'm mentoring them in that way. So it's a combination. I remember we had one gentleman who had Parkinson's, and he was well into his 70s, and he mentored 5 young people.
Wow.
And he mentored one each day of the week. And he was tremendously consistent. And it kind of gave him a purpose, a reason to live. And he was a great mentor. And so our mentors come in all shapes and sizes. Some are 19, 20 years old, college students. Some are in their middle of their professions. The average, I think, age for TeamMates mentors, somewhere around 40 to 45. And then there's guys and women like me. And so you don't have to be anything special. But let me point one thing out, and that is that the National Mentoring Partnership did a survey, and they said of young people in the United States of mentoring age, which would generally be from about the 3rd grade through the 12th grade, they said there are 9 million kids out of roughly 60, 65 million that say that they have no adult in their life that cares about them unconditionally. That's about 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7. And so, as Des Moines mentioned, we have kids from great families. We have kids from very solid situations economically. And then we have kids that are certainly in danger of falling through the cracks. And I got an email just a couple of days ago from a former player of mine, and he mentioned that he had been mentoring a young guy. The young guy's father was in prison, and the mother had remarried and had a second family and abandoned this young guy. And so he had absolutely no support. But the young man who was a former player who has been mentoring him said that he's really come a long ways. He's currently a straight A student. He's in high school, and he's getting ready to go to the university. And so I have stories like that too. But it's also important to realize that, in this day and age, with computers and all of the electronic gadgets around us, it's possible to work 16, 18-hour days. And I know as a coach, I had some really long days. And sometimes the very best of parents are kind of like two ships passing the night with their kids. And so I kept hearing over and over from mentors, that they were telling me, I think I get as much or more out of this than my mentee. I kept hearing that. And so I thought, well, let me research this a little bit. So I picked out about 50 people that had been mentoring for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I sent them a letter, and I said, what do you mean when you say that you think you get more out of it than your mentee? And some of them said, well, it just makes me feel good when this young person sees me and runs up and hugs me and seemed to be overjoyed to see me. And then some have said, well, I've really come to know more about what's going on with young people, what they're thinking, what goes on in school and what goes on outside of school. And then there were some that said, it's made me a better parent because I see the power of sitting and listening and being with some young person and just loving them unconditionally. And so often that wasn't occurring in my parenting. And so it's made me a better parent. I think when you put all of that together and you begin to look underneath all of those answers, what they're really saying is that being a mentor gives my life greater purpose and meaning. And there was a survey by Gallup a few years ago. It's kind of interesting. They asked several thousand Americans. They said, number one, are you happy? And happiness was defined primarily, I guess, in terms of having your needs met. And most Americans said, yeah, I'm relatively happy. I have shelter. I have enough to eat. I have transportation, and I have some discretionary wealth. And so happiness was more or less getting and receiving, maybe sometimes taking. And then they asked this question. They said, does your life have purpose and meaning? And the answer came back quite frequently, not so much. And so what they found was that purpose and meaning in a person's life comes not from getting or receiving, but having purpose and meaning comes from giving and serving and sometimes sacrificing. And so I think that's what really is what our mentors are talking about. It just gives them a greater sense of fulfillment and purpose and meaning. And they report always feeling better after their mentoring session. They report going back to work energized. And so it's not a one-way street where the mentor simply gives and gives and gives, but both the mentor and the mentee benefit significantly.
That's probably the best definition of community that I can come up with, Coach. That is how this works. We'll throw it to break here. We'll come back. More of the Teammates Mentoring Hour. Des Moines Adams, Dr. Tom Osborne. We will be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More of the Teammates Mentoring Hour is minutes away on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Casey's General Stores is giving away 2 tickets to each Nebraska football home game this season. To enter, just head to any Casey's General Store location in Lincoln during the football season, scan the QR code at the front counter, and fill out the online form. One winner will be chosen at random 2 days before that week's game. So head over to Casey's, stock up on all your tailgating snacks and drinks, and register to win 2 tickets to a Nebraska football game, brought to you by Casey's General Store and 93.7 The Ticket.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy, classic wings. Made to order, cooked to perfection. And sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. And, of course, spicy Cajun fried corn. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 7th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Time to replace your heating and air? Get utility rebates and big discounts from Bryant. Call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and things are cooking in Louisville. Right now, our pre-owned sales are off the charts, and we have loaded up the lots full of inventory. We've got a great supply of Sierras, Silverados, Tahoes, Yukons, and crossovers. Plus, we've got a great supply of back-to-school cars just in time for the big day. Don't forget about all of those new 2022 and 2023 units arriving every day as well. So please take that short, money-saving drive down 144th Street or shop online at CoppellCars.com. You'll be glad you did.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit ASBMidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the TeamMates Mentoring Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, TeamMates Mentoring Hour, 93.7 The Ticket. Dr. Tom Osborne, Des Moines Adams from TeamMates. And Coach, if you don't mind, I wanted to start with Des Moines for this one because I wanted to ask him. We use the word mentoring, we bounce it around, but it has a different definition to different people. So I'll ask you first to define mentoring?
Off the top of my head, from my heart, it's the process of helping and guiding another person with their time, with their knowledge, with their experience, in the form of a relationship. Sometimes it could be using one's role to serve as a role model, but overall, there's peer mentor, when it comes to adults. But when it comes to an adult to a young person, is really guiding them, advising them, sharing their time, their knowledge, and their experience, helping them to develop so that they can own their own uniqueness and reach their full potential.
Coach, for you, mentoring as a definition, what applies for you?
Well, I think Des Moines did an excellent job of discussing it. And might just tell you a quick story. I recruited Des Moines. We had Eric Crouch recruited. Frank Solich was doing well. So I stepped aside and I got out of coaching. And then somebody, Bruce Rasmussen up at Creighton, said, well, why don't you come up and spend some time with our coaches? So I spent about a year and a half going up there 2 or 3 times a week. And I was talking to Dana Altman, who was the basketball coach at that time. And he had this young guy who was pretty talented, but he was driving Dana crazy because one game he played great. He scored 20 points. Next game he was off and just not the same player. And finally Dana said to me, he said, why don't you take him? Just see if you can figure out. So I just sat and we met and I listened to him and met with him several times. And I found out that this young guy had been raised by his grandmother. His folks were not in the picture. He lived out in Los Angeles, and his grandmother had cancer, and she was dying. And it seemed like, there was nothing he could do about it. There was nothing I could do about it. But just the fact that somebody listened and somebody understood and somebody cared seemed to make a difference. And I would like to take credit, but over the next several games, he played great. And I have to believe that most kids are that way. They just have the feeling and the need to be understood and to be accepted and to be cared for and to be loved. And so often when we think of mentoring, we think of telling or teaching or instructing. And sometimes that's good because there are teachable moments. I had a young guy who was struggling with marijuana, and his moods were kind of up and down. And finally I said, you'd probably like to have your mood more on an even keel, right? And he said, yeah. And so I brought in Ricky Simmons, who was a licensed drug counselor, one of our former players, and Ricky talked to him, and this young guy has been clean now for probably most of a year, and his mood has certainly changed. And so there are those teachable moments, and there are those times when you can instruct and when you can begin to maneuver the situation. But above all, I think mentoring is listening, and listening empathetically. In other words, you're trying to walk a mile in that person's shoes. You're trying to understand what they're experiencing and what they're going through. And it seems like that's something that kids really need. And we live in such a fast-paced, busy world with so much electronic stimulation that even in the best of families, quite often that just does not happen very much. I think somebody did a study and said, the average parent spends only maybe 5 or 10 minutes a week, even in the best of homes, listening without judgment to what their young person, one of their children is going through. And so that's why I say I think mentors gain a lot in terms of parenting skills simply by seeing the power of what listening does and being a mentor.
Coach, You've mentioned it several times: electronics, the technology, the distraction. Sometimes it's lack of focus. But do you find it that's a difficult bridge to cross to get today's young person to sit at a table and spend 30 minutes actually talking to a mentor?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think too many kids are spending so much time video games, sometimes on message boards and social media, that it's unusual to sit and engage with an adult or somebody older for any length of time, other than maybe being in a classroom where somebody's teaching a specific subject. And so it is a little bit foreign to kids. And if you think about the messages that kids are receiving today, social media can be very cruel, because you can put something on social media that may be totally untrue, a rumor that has no basis, and sometimes it gets pretty personal. And so there's a lot of bullying that goes on social media, and then if nothing else, just a lot of the messages that kids are inundated with on TV, some of the music lyrics, some of the movies they see, are quite different than they were 20 years ago. Much of that which is in the public domain today would not have been allowed on airwaves 20 years ago. And so it's really confusing for kids, because they're being told this and that and influenced this way and that way. And so to weave your way through adolescence and emerge on the other side with a healthy outlook on life is probably more difficult than it has been, and particularly with the pandemic and what they've gone through the last year and a half, 2 years, where schools have been shut down, sports have been canceled or held up, and contact with people that they normally meet with has not been available. And so there's probably more emotional stress and distress among young people today, particularly the last year or two, than there has been in a long, long time.
There's so much to that. But Des Moines, I'll ask you this. Go back to college, Des Moines, and then we're having the conversation about the power of mentoring, right? Mentorship and its value. And I say to you, hey, young Des Moines, guess what's going to happen? If you follow the tenets and the guidance of Dr. Tom Osborne, here's where your life's going to end up, and here's the impact you're going to have on a whole state of Des Moines Adams. Your reaction to that, what would you say to that?
You know, that's an incredible opportunity, you know, to make that choice, which would give me that type of chance. Whereas if there was another option that was presented to me that included doing drugs, maybe skipping school, you know, being more of a follower, maybe that choice would lead to more consequences. So I'm very grateful for a lot of the mentors in my life. I appreciate, you know, Coach Osborne for seeing something that I didn't see, which is my potential.
That's mentoring.
Yep.
Like, that's a beautiful thing you just said.
Yep. He saw something I didn't see, my potential. So this kid from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, got a full ride scholarship, and then there were other mentors like Dennis LeBlanc, Keith Zimmer, Robert Hicks. You know, they all took the time, not necessarily asking me, what are you doing, but more, how are you doing? So there were so many people that, going back to Coach, that took the time to listen, to understand me, to relate to me, and made me feel unique, regardless of, you know, being this country boy from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, looking for some greens and cornbread. But the potential piece, and that's a part of our mission, which is to positively impact the world by inspiring students to reach their full potential through mentoring. So TeamMates, you know, for those that are listening, we have a solid mission statement. We have core values of being committed to youth, safety, integrity, and trust, inclusion, strengths-based. We are a solid organization. We've been doing this for 31 years, and most people want to be a part of something that's successful. And we are a program that we believe in helping young people reach their full potential. And if that doesn't, pull your heartstrings, my question to you is, are you really living in purpose?
What you just said is why those folks who are listening, you're on the text line, you're on the video stream, you're appreciated. We understand that if you're staying and listening and watching, we've got you leaning in. We need to get you across the bridge from leaning and listening to being active in it. That's what mentoring is as well. We'll toward the break. When we come back, before we let Coach Osborne go, we'll come back from the break. I'll ask him about the power of his mentorship in a head coach, in an interim coach by the name of Mickey Joseph. We'll ask, what kind of leadership is there? What's the story behind that? And then we'll ask Des Moines his thoughts on that interim coach when we come back.
Don't go anywhere. More of the Teammates Mentoring Hour is minutes away on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's time again for Lincoln's Best Oktoberfest, the 7th annual Piedmont Oktoberfest, October 8th from 5 to 11 p.m. Enjoy dozens of beers, amazing local food, live music, costume contests, stein holding contests, yodeling, and more, with tickets starting at only $33. Live music by the B Street Band, provided by Aloe Fiber, and safe rides home, provided by Z-Trip and the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office. Get your tickets today at the shopsatpiedmont.com. Use promo code The Ticket to receive 10% off your complete order. It's the Piedmont Oktoberfest. The shops at Piedmont.com.
Lincoln loves local business. What better way to support local than to drink local? Don't miss Lincoln Craft Beer Week beginning September 26th and continuing through October 2nd. You can't go wrong with 14 different local breweries, cideries, distilleries, and more putting on events to get you familiar with Lincoln's craft beverage scene. For more details on participating venues and Lincoln Craft Beer Week, visit lincoln.org/beer tour. Brought to you by the Lincoln Convention and Visitors Bureau. Remember to enjoy responsibly. It's tailgate season. Why would you bounce around from place to place for all your beverage needs when you could have it all in one place? Wine, Beer, and Spirits has everything for your parties with their 3 locations in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. It's the largest liquor store in the state, and here's the best part. You can get a drink from their bar and walk around with it as you shop for all your tailgate necessities. Locally owned and operated, it's Wine, Beer, and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days with both day and night shift schedules available. Stand-up forklift and high-reach forklift experience is a plus for open positions, but they're willing to train for those without experience. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Casey's General Stores is giving away 2 tickets to each Nebraska football home game this season. To enter, just head to any Casey's General Store location in Lincoln during the football season, scan the QR code at the front counter, and fill out the online form. One winner will be chosen at random 2 days before that week's game. So head over to Casey's, stock up on all your tailgating snacks and drinks, and register to win 2 tickets to a Nebraska football game Brought to you by Casey's General Store and 93.7 The Ticket.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Get a lot of advice about self-care these days, but one of the most important self-care steps we can take is making sure we're financially secure later in life. For small steps you can take to save for retirement, visit WeSaySaveIt.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the TeamMates Mentoring Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Final segment of Teammates Mentoring Hour, and we appreciate you guys on the text line, on the video stream, hanging out. I'd love to do a couple of things in finishing this hour up. One, in speaking about the power of this Nebraska football program and its longevity and legacy. That Coach Osborne, in his way, has reached once again the top position in that program, and it's somebody of his cord, somebody of his fabric. Coach, your mentoring has reached once again the head football position in Mickey Joseph. What and who is Mickey Joseph to you?
Well, Mickey and I have a fairly long history. Jack Pierce, who recently passed away, was the particular position coach that recruited Mickey primarily, but I was down to visit Mickey 2 or 3 times and stayed in close touch with him. And it was kind of an odd sequence of events, because at that time you could only visit the school 4 times. So Jack had used up 3 visits, I'd used up 1, and Mickey said he wanted to sign with us. And so we couldn't go to the school, and he wanted to sign at school. So Jack and I sat on one side of the fence, the boundary of the school, at a table, and Mickey sat on the other side of the fence, signed the letter, and passed it over the fence. So that was one of the strangest signings that I ever had. But anyway, got to know Mickey and his family. He's got a good family. And, Mickey and his brother, Vance. Vance went to Colorado. I used to talk to Vance on the phone. When I'd call Mickey, Vance would pick up. And I got to know him a little bit. But they really, I guess if you use the word coach, these guys are really dedicated to football. Mm-hmm. So Mickey isn't a guy that just recently got into the profession. He's been a high school coach. He's been a head coach in high school. He's coached at a small college. He was a head coach at a small college. He's been at LSU and some pretty high-profile programs. And so he's seen there's a lot of water under the bridge with Mickey. And he has a really clear idea of what he wants to get done. And I've been impressed by his vision and by his commitment. And he wants to do things the right way. In his position, you could sit there and be anxious about, well, am I going to be kept on or whatever? But Mickey's taken the position that just one day at a time, he's going to do the best thing he can for these players and the University of Nebraska. and then let the chips fall where they may at the end of the year. I think that's pretty mature and very wise way to approach it. So I've been impressed with that. And so anyway, I don't know how things are going to shake out, but I do know that Mickey will do the very best he can to do things the right way. And of course, it's kind of unusual because Scott Frost played quarterback for us and for me, and Mickey played quarterback for us and for me. And so I know them both well, and I care about both of them. And so it's been a little bit of a tumultuous time over the last few years.
Coach, what you said matters. It matters. Trying to do things the right way. Des Moines, when you think of Mickey Joseph, what comes to mind?
You know, first thing that came to my mind is as iron sharpens iron. You know, so for Mickey to have someone like Coach, who is the iron, to be able to lean on and to receive that mentorship and to do things the right way. I mean, there's no better person than to learn how to do things the right way than from Coach. And so I think Mickey is definitely headed in the right direction simply because he's being sharpened by the right iron. Mm-hmm. He's leaning in, receiving that guidance, that advice, that knowledge, that experience from Coach as a mentor. And so I just see nothing but great things. I'm excited for him. I've been impressed with his press releases and how he carries himself. And he's one of my fraternity brothers too. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely rooting for him.
Okay, Alpha, Omega Sci-Fi, he's doing his thing. I got you, Des Moines. I got you. Let folks know who are listening what the next step. They've been listening, they've been watching. What's the next step for them? What should they be doing to facilitate their involvement in TeamMates?
First and foremost for the adults, Facebook. Like us, follow us, TeamMates Mentoring. Mm-hmm. Twitter, follow us. Instagram, follow us. Mm-hmm. We're even on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Go to our website. Some of the data that Tom and I shared, you can get our full report. Reports for decades. It is a simple process. You complete our application. We train you. We take you through the process. We equip you. We support you along the way. Every community, starting with the Lincoln community, there's a program coordinator and tons of support that are cheering for you to succeed because we are committed to youth and we are committed to you along the way. This is not just a one and done thing. Once you sign up, we hope that you are with your student until they finish, they score that touchdown. And that's reaching their full potential. That's the process.
That is the way. In closing, let me say this. To Coach Osborne, many years ago in Arlington, Virginia, there's a 10-year-old kid watching the Huskers in Norman. That kid became a fan of Coach Tom Osborne. That kid is now talking to Tom Osborne. This is a big night. This is how far-reaching Coach Tom and what he does reaches. He's reaching people that he's never going to know he reached. To you, Dr. Tom Osborne, thank you for what you do, what you've done, who you are. It's greatly appreciated and love forward. Des Moines, thank you, kind sir, for what you do. Harrison, we will throw it to break. Coach Osborne, thank you once again. That's been TeamMates Mentoring Hour. Mm-hmm. Up next, we'll hand it over to the young ladies of Nebraska softball.
People First is